Guys, welcome to this tutorial. We're starting with the top part of this dress. I'm mapping out 1/2 inch first for folding, and I'm taking out 6 inches for the off shoulder. I'm getting my half length, which is 16 inches. I'm going to add extra 3 inches for the lower waist. This top starts with the lower waist, not really the half length, and I'm adding extra 2 inches in case I run short while sewing my elastic. I'm using my highest circumference, which is the hip. My hip divided by 4 plus 5 inches, which gave me a total of 15 inches. And this one I just cut out is my front piece, and I'm using the front piece to cut out the back piece now. So you divide your hips by 4, whatever it gives you, add extra 5 inches or 6 inches depending on how full you want it to be. I'm trying to mark out my 15 inches now. So anywhere can serve as the front or back piece, they are the same. I'm going to mark the lines where my elastic will pass through. The first line I'm marking is where I'm going to fold. The first one will be folded, so I'm marking out 1/2 inches for folding. Another lines I'm going to mark out is around half inch. If you want yours to be a bit closer, you can make it less than 1/2 inch. So I'm going to mark these lines all the way down. I wouldn't want to be sewing the elastic and it's kind of bent. That's why I'm marking these lines. If it's something you can do without marking lines, you can go ahead and sew yours without marking the lines if you think it's going to waste your time. Now after marking the lines, I'm going to cut out the lower part. So I'm making use of a lining that's the same hip measurement. That's what I'm making use of. What I use in cutting out the upper part, I'm using it to cut the lower part as well. I marked out 1/2 inch for folding, and my full length is 40. I'm removing 3 inches. I want the Ankara to be longer than the lining. That's why I minus 3 inches and added extra 1 inch for folding of the lining. Now I'm going to mark the lines where the ruffles will be. The first line I'm marking it at 5 inches. The second line I'm going to mark it at 6 inches. So the 2 lines we have here is 3 lines. The first, second, and third line. So this is the remaining. I'm going to extend these lines all through the linings, which is going to serve as a guide where I'll place my ruffles. I'm extending the lines. So I'm placing the lining this way to extend the line as well. I want the lines to get to the end of the lining. Remember your hip measurements, you use it to cut out the lining. My lining is on fold only 2 times, so it was half of 60 inches, okay, which is 30. That is how I got this. When you stretch the lining, it gives you 60 inches. If your hip measurement is less than this, that is how you're going to use. That's exactly what you use to cut out your lining, okay? So I'm going to keep this aside and then cut out my ruffles. The first layer, I'm going to use 8 inches for the first layer. And this first layer is going to be into 4 pieces. This is Ankara. Ankara is 45 inches, so I'm cutting 45 inches into 4 places, okay? This is the first one. I'm placing it on the Ankara fabric to cut out the second piece. This is how I'm going to cut it until I cut out 4 pieces for the first layer. So I've got 4 pieces in total for the first layer. The second layer, I'm making use of 9 inches. If you're cutting these layers, let it be 1 inch longer than the other. I'm making use of 9 inches for this second layer, and I'm only cutting 3 pieces for this second and third layers. Okay, the first one has 4 pieces, while second and third has 3 pieces. I'm going to cut out 3 pieces of this. If you want to make this style, all you need to use is around 5 inches of Ankara fabric. Sorry, all you need to use is 5 yards of Ankara fabric. Okay. This is going to be the third piece. So I've got 3 pieces in total. We are now cutting the third layer. This is the second layer I just cut out. 3 pieces of it. And it's time to cut the third layer. The third layer, I'm supposed to make use of 10 inches, but I made use of 11 inches. After sewing, I realized it's longer. So if you're cutting yours, let it be 1 inch longer than each other. Now I had to fold it again to eliminate that 1 inch that I added. So make sure you cut yours with 1 inch longer than the other. So make use of 10 inches here instead of 11 inches. Remember, the first one was 8, the second one 9, and then the third one should be 10 inches. I'm going to use this to cut 3 pieces of this layer, okay? So I'm placing it on the Ankara fabric to cut out another layer. So this is the last piece I'm cutting out now. We're done cutting out all the layers. I've already marked out the lines where my elastic thread will go through. This is time for sewing now. We are done cutting, it's time for sewing. This is the 2 inches I added.
Guys, this is the elastic
this is how you go about it. I'm making use of elastic thread. The elastic thread goes to the railer.
Don't stretch it while rolling it on the railer.
Do not stretch it when...
I'll keep this aside and first hem here. I need to hem it with 1/2 inch. Just pinch it like so. Turn it again. So I've hemmed it. We need to start sewing the elastic thread. So what we're going to do is fix in this. Then I'm going to start sewing from the lines. I'll leave at least 1/2 inch for joining. Go through the lines. Now let's start. As you're sewing, you don't need to stretch the fabric, okay? Just be sewing. As you're sewing, it's coming together. And when you get to the 1/2 inch, you top stitch. And then there's no need cutting it out. And just start sewing again, like so. So this is how I'm going to sew through these lines until I get to the end of this. I've gathered with my elastic thread. The next thing I'm going to do is to join both sides with 1 inch. After joining it, I'll tell you the next thing we'll do. And here, this is the extra 2 inches I added. I'm going to cut it off because no longer need. I've joined it. This is it. So we are going to work on the strap now for the gathering. First, I'm going to join the straps by the sides so that it will be turned to a long strap. After joining it, I'll now hem the down part first before I'll start splitting it on the before I'll start pleating it on the lining.
I've joined it to get a long strap. After joining it, I want to start hemming it. When you hem after getting pleating it on your lining, it's going to be an issue. So it's best you hem before pleating it on your lining. Okay. Now it's time to start pleating it. I'm going to start from the last line. Starting with the longer strap, and then I place it this way. This is how you place it when pleating the last and second line. Leave 1 inch before pleating. Do not sew the 1 inch, leave it. Just stop stitch and start pleating. This is how you pleat all the way down. I finished pleating it and I turned it this way. As you can see, you cannot see the ruffle, the place that is looking rough, okay, because I turned it before pleating it. Now it's time to start pleating the second layer. So I'm pleating the second layer. I'm going to pleat it all the way down. I'm done pleating it and this is how it looks. So this is how it looks. The next thing we are going to do is to pleat the last layer, which is the first one that has 4 straps, and we are placing it this way to pleat. Remember, you will leave 1 inch top stitch before pleating. This pleating is going to be full because the strap is longer and it's going to cover all the ones that we cut out for just 3 pieces. So you're going to pleat it kind of small until you get a fuller pleat. So this is what I was telling you about. You need to leave 1 inch before you start pleating. I'm done pleating. Now it's time to close our lining. This is how you place your lining before closing it. Put in your fabric and put the fabric inside this way, and then bring the 2 linings together, the 2 sides, bring them together, and sew on the 1 inch you left when you were pleating. So I'm going to sew all the way down with 1 inch. After sewing, it's now to sew the layers, the openings. I'm going to place it this way. So I'm going to keep it this way, and then close it this way. I've closed it. So the next thing you're going to do is to hem it, like sew it on the lining again, cover it because there's a little opening there. I'm going to repeat it on all the remaining 2 steps. Close it this way, and then I'm opening it like this. I'm opening it this way to close the opening. So I'll open it this way to close the remaining 2 and 3rd step. When we are done with the down, it's time to attach this is how it looks after covering it, and it is the first layer, second layer, and 3rd layer. It's now to fix our half length. You turn the lower part this way. Identify where your back is. My back is facing me, so I'm putting it this way. The half length, I'm putting it this way. Get the joining, the side joining, okay? Let it meet this particular point. This is where it's kind of serving as where I joined it. Remember, I didn't join it by any at the side. So I'm just notching it and then placing it to meet the side joining. I'm going to pin it down. And I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. I'll use the joining and place it on the other part and then pin it down. So this is going to serve as our side, okay? And now I will start sewing. Remember, as you are sewing, make sure you are stretching your lower part, which is your half length. Be stretching it. If you realize that the lower part, the skirt part is kind of bigger, you can kind of ruffle it, like start pleating it again so that you make sure it covers the half length, goes round the skirt. This is how I'm going to sew all the way round. And I'm done attaching it. This is the look of the gown. So the next thing we're going to do is to get a strap for tying it. Okay, the strap that will serve as the hand. So I'm making use of a long strap of 33 inches and the width of 4.5. You can make yours to be less. It could be 3 inches, 2 inches, depending on how you want it. And I'm going to fold it this way and stitch. After stitching it, I closed this part like this with 1/2 inch, and I'm going to bring it out, kind of turn it out with my scissors. I'm turning it out with my scissors. I did the same thing on the second strap too. This is what we've got. So at this place that is open, that is where I'm going to attach on the joist. At the front part of the dress, I'm going to measure from the joining side 2.5 inches. This is where I'll start attaching the long strap. I'll now fold it this way and then attach it like this. And then I'll hem it. I'll top stitch it, make it to be a bit firm. So I'm going to repeat the same thing at the other strap. Measure 2.5 inches. Place my strap on it. Turn it this way to cover the rough edge. And then stitch. So we are done sewing this beautiful gown. If this is something you would like to make, kindly make yours. Post it so we can see. Please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, if you haven't followed my page, if you haven't followed my TikTok, kindly follow for more tutorials. Thank you for watching, and please endeavor to share this post. Thank you.